Good morning, cuties and comrades. Today is another beautiful day in history, and we've got critical work to do. My name is Sarah Mishnick, and I'll be your critical thinking coach. Today is Friday, so we're on the final element of what it means to be a critical thinker: empowerment, using your knowledge for real world action, taking your power to do things, to act in the world, and to transform it and make that a reality. And that's what it's all about. Using knowledge as fuel for action. Pretty dope. Speaking of which, you gotta check out my Revere 1 science critical lesson, because that was some of the most empowering lesson plans I have ever seen. Over all humans have the power to engage in science. Check it out. It's in my videos and it's super empowering. And this week, I've got to put in a plug for my other lesson plan, which is going to be over history is a power to solve problems. Also super empowering. So that's the kind of lessons that I am a teacher am developing. Check them out if you're interested. But this session in the morning is for adults who did not get an empowering education, particularly. We hadn't been, honestly, in the whole spectrum or in the whole timeline of education as an institution, a societal public good. Ever since that has been the case, the study of connecting thought to action is new, and that's the critical tradition. And it's just now starting to become part of the dialogue. So that's what we've been studying. You know how there are those great little moments when you're like, something happens and you're like, oh my God, I knew about that. I could have done something about that. I had the knowledge. Why did I not act? Yes, that territory, my friend, is our territory. We are interested in that space, in how can we motivate you to make sure you don't have those kind of regrets. I have been talking about regrets this week and how critical thinkers don't want to be regretful with their consequences or miss out on anything that independently they could have done. We don't want no regrets. And we especially don't like that regret of having knowledge and not acting on it. That is one of our least favorite things. So, to combat that, we have, or really I have, but wow, I've been collecting tips and tricks from people around the world and across the globe who have been thinking about that space between knowledge and action, and have tips and tricks on how to make it work for you. So let's toss these little philosophy cards into my knowledge of the people, by the people, for the people. That's what we're all about here. All right, let's see what we got. Let's see what's empowering today. Henry Giroux. Okay, we're going to be talking about a word that's very hard to say, but it does make me feel better that no one can really say it. Okay, I saw what it was, but I can't read it from where you are. And I don't think you can read it either, so I'll just go ahead. How about that? Okay. Conscientization. This is the act of getting your conscience in gear, okay? And I'm talking about your consciousness, all right? When we talk about intentionality, it's your inner economy we've talked about. That's what we're talking about. We're not just talking about Jiminy Cricket. That's con science. When you spell it out, I could spell it out here, con science. But this is consciousness, okay? Consciousness, we're getting it in here. How do we get our awareness of things and make it outside of ourselves, right? Get our ideas and everything and show ourselves in the real world. That's what this impossible word is all about. conscious, I'll try one more time. I think if I hit the T, gosh darn it. Conscientization. Okay, moving on. You get it. The term, the impossible term, refers to the interface of critical reflection and action as two separate but interconnected moments in the process of individual and collective emancipation. Henry Giroux. Okay, conscientization. The term refers to the interface of critical reflection and action as two separate but interconnected moments in the process of individual and collective emancipation. Okay, so the interface. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The interface is that space between I knew that and I didn't act on that. Okay, that means you didn't do conscientization. Okay, that's the last time I'm saying it. You get it. You get it. You did not evoke your consciousness enough. You were aware, but you didn't act and you didn't get up out of your seat to do anything about it. So, does it matter that you knew? It matters to you. You know you knew, but does anybody else know? This goes back to here that fun little intentional and consequential thing again. And of course, empowerment always cycles right back to intention because this is that interface, y'all, right there between real world power and your consciousness, your awareness of things. There is tension here between your intentionality and your power. You don't always use your intention for everything you learn, nor should you. Not everything you learn needs to be acted upon. So, this is also part of the process of discovering which of those things are essential to act on, because not everything is, right? There is some knowledge that you don't act on. But to be a real learner, learning is acting. So, reflection, action. This again comes back to an idea at the center of critical teaching, which is what I do, praxis, which is reflection plus action. So, that's the process that we're always engaged in. And that's what conscientization really is. That's what it is this process of praxis and strengthening that ability to bring these two often opposing forces into one. And so honestly, yeah, an intentional learner will discover fields of knowledge that do matter, that are important. You see, they will have followed all these paths. And so then everything they're learning does align with things to act on. Now they've found meaningful knowledge that allows them to act. So that's the goal, is to not only figure out ways to connect us to knowledge so that when we have to get ourselves revved up to engage with knowledge, we can do it, but also we want to be seeking knowledge for our own sake, not just so we can develop a skill that helps us engage with knowledge we're not that interested in. Yes, that's a helpful skill and something that we talk about on Mondays with intentionality, of learning how to strengthen that process of connection with things so that you can be more connected. Even when things are hard, how can you find a meaningful way in, right? That's a really useful skill. But also, on the other hand, we also want the skill of locating knowledge that is meaningful so you will learn how to connect it to action faster so that you can build that muscle and are like, okay, this is what learning is. Learning is taking knowledge and acting. And now that I've found a field of knowledge that really speaks to me, there's such an easy flow. It's like electricity. Now you've got that flow. So, yes, you should have the skills to connect with anything. That's ideal, right? But also, you should find those things that are particularly meaningful to you so you can deeply learn and act in meaningful ways, ultimately. That's what this is all about. So, again, reflection has to be in the real world to make real life consequences. So again, when I was talking about how you might have known that you knew, but nobody else knows, yeah, it's because you didn't do anything in the real world. You didn't create any material consequences. In the world of matter, you didn't do anything that matters. Not until you use your power. So it won't be part of history. You knowing that will never be documented until it was too late. It was already past, which is what we were talking about on Wednesday. Developing that skill of knowing when to make a decision and when to spot stuff, or rather, developing your skill of spotting things early that are important so you don't miss out. So everything's connected, you guys. You want your knowledge to be part of the social realm and the historical realm, the real realm. It could sit in your head all you want, but like that's just yours. And I'm not saying that isn't valuable. I do think that is valuable, but we want to see it. We want to see it. So you have to use your power, or no one's going to know about it. And that's a real shame. No one's going to know about you ultimately, because that's what we're talking about here, is not just you took knowledge and acted. Knowledge isn't some sort of code like you're a robot, where if you get a certain piece of knowledge, everyone interprets it in the same way, right? This is exactly what right-wing people think about the way, because my tradition is from the left, that's what we're trying to do, is like if we teach them facts, then automatically people will act a certain way. And like, no, that's not at all how things work. My God, one piece of knowledge. Think about how there's this great story Richard Wolff tells about his students. He has them, his whole classroom, write an essay over something in the room. Guess what? Something they saw. I believe it was something they could see in the room. Did a single person write about the same thing? Not a one. Not a one. They were given this knowledge. What do you see? Under that category, they interpreted it in a unique, individual way, just like everybody does. So, how are you going to act on knowledge? That's what I'm interested in. There isn't one right way to act. That's crazy. There wouldn't have been one right answer to that. There isn't one right answer to what to do. There are lots of answers to what to do. Lots. Lots. We want them to be critical. We want for them to be well thought out, to be about things that are important, things that have been considered about what their effects might be, things that are independent. That's what we want. Individual action. We're going to have lots of actors. That's what we want. No one's going to use knowledge to do the same thing ever. That's never been the case. Rick Roderick talks about how, think about how many people, maybe less now, but right there, doctorates on Plato. How many people are still talking about Plato today? And how many years ago was that? New good ideas don't close conversations and say, oh, that's it. That was the good idea. That's it. The end. No, people take good ideas and do new things with them. They enhance upon them and take them in different ways and interpret them in different ways. And oh my gosh, there's so much to do with this knowledge that it'll never be done. So we got to get going. There's a lot to do. So there is no right or wrong action if it's critical, I think. If you've considered all of these factors, I literally don't think you can go wrong. I don't think so. If you really are grounded in what's important and can do all these things. So that's why I'm here, is to empower you to say, hey, you can do good things with your knowledge. You just got to connect those two tensions, make them connect. Bring your unique interpretation of knowledge and really stop building up resistance between acting. Act authentically. Be you and do what you think is right, because I think that you're a good thinker and that you can do the right thing with your knowledge. The right thing being the right thing for you and for all of us. And that's exactly what he's talking about here. What does he mean, individual and collective emancipation? So, as I said, this critical tradition is on the left. We have no qualms saying that, because this has been new. To be on the left is that's the line is between, are we conserving what is and maintaining, or are we progressing and moving forward? Both of these things need to be true, right? You can't progress well if you're not maintaining. So, but also we've got to move forward. It's crazy. That's what humans do. We upgrade, yo. I've talked about it before. We expect iPhones to get better. Why? Because that's just the human way. We expect things to get better because that's the trajectory we're on. We feel it. We know we should be moving forward. So to act as if there's no room for people who are talking about progress is crazy. It would also be crazy to say no conserving, no maintaining. What? No. The critical tradition is on the left. We say schools need to change. The way we talk about knowledge needs to change. People need to be empowered. We need to connect. Intention to action, that needs to be part of when we talk about knowing. It also needs to be about acting. We're saying this is an important piece of learning that you guys haven't even talked about. And so you're falling behind. Sorry. Things upgrade, my friend. And if you ignore it, you're going to lose. You didn't have to lose because, again, maintaining is important, but we've been studying what comes next because we care about progress and we should care about maintaining. That's what I talk about on Tuesdays. So I'm not hating on conservatives at all. At all. This is a project of the left, but it should be taken up by everybody. We need to figure out ways to act on what to conserve. Am I right? Yes. Yes, undoubtedly. So just because it's from one tradition, there are many conservative traditions that I think are good. For example, I think indigenous populations have had to conserve their traditions to keep them alive, and thank goodness they have. I care about conserving. I also care about progress. They both need to go hand in hand. So pretending as if they're opposites isn't doing us any good. And perhaps we need to find ways that they can work together and that we can learn how to take meaningful action. So, but because we are on the side of the left and because we've been on the side of progress, we say we want progress to continue. And we also say we know the present. And right now, people are not as free as they could be. And that will always be the case. Man, capitalists take that so personally. But it's true. And even in the whatever stages come next, humans will never feel free enough. That's just the way it's going to be. So we're always going to have to figure out ways of that's what we want, is to live a full human life. That's what everybody wants. That's what it means to be emancipated, to be living a life with you, that you choose. Simone de Beauvoir says something to the effect of, Freedom isn't getting to do whatever you want. It's about having the future open to possibilities. It's having an open future and ever more open. There are more and more and more possibilities. So that's what we mean when we talk about freedom, opening doors up on stuff and not closing doors, not saying this is the only way. This is the only way. That isn't freedom. Now, there are some things like we should humanize each other and treat each other as free beings. That's the only way because that's the way of life. That's keeping each other alive. And that's just the logic of life. So I think walking on a path of the logic of life and not toward the logic of death and destruction, it's not that it's the only way, but it's the only rational way. And let me tell you that the way of life is wide. This is wide lanes, wide, infinite lanes. That's the thing. There's plenty of room for you to do everything you want. That's good for you. That really is an inner calling that doesn't harm anyone else. That is an infinite road, my friend. So, yes, it is the way of life. So you could say that I'm saying I'm closing the door on the way toward death and destruction. And I'll say, okay, yeah, but this side is infinitely large. So we're not putting boundaries. You're free on this side completely. And so is everyone else. We're not getting harmed over here. So to say that the only way to have life now, okay, if we shut this door, which I think we can all agree is fine because this side is as large as the universe itself, plenty of space. There's plenty of room in this town for everybody. There's my cowboy. This town is big enough for all of us, is the joke I'm making. The way of life is big enough for all of us, okay? But to say that this is the only way to live life? Oh, no. That's not freedom. That's not freedom. Yo, it's infinite over here. Don't be telling me this is the only way. That's foolish. That's foolish. And that limits us when life is infinite. Don't be doing that. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what the left cares about. Stop saying one thing is the way. We're done with that. We're done. You can have one way, but you can't force your one way on everybody. That goes for religion. That goes for economics. That goes for fashion. That goes for art. That goes for music. That goes for books. You can have one way. If you love mystery novels, girl, keep loving mystery novels. But you can't make me only read mystery novels. That's taking away my freedom and my power. We're talking about empowerment today. Empowerment means I should be able to have more options, more freedom, more possibilities, like Simone said. So that's what we say when we say emancipation is taking the handcuffs off of this is the only way to live your life. No, we say, no, we are emancipating ourselves from that. And we're saying that's what knowledge should be about, is figuring out your individual way. It's not going to be what other people say it is. It's not going to be down these tiny little paths. No, we reject that. That is not a good thing to conserve. It's not. It's not. It is not about personal emancipation and collective emancipation. So we're talking about, as a group, we can say, hey, you've been telling us this is the only path of life. And we say, no, open another door. What else is there? Because this is not freedom. You forcing us to walk this path is not freedom. And we'll join together and break down a door for more life. Y'all are confining us. There's so much here. Don't put us in a box. That's foolish. That's foolish. That's what the left's saying. And aren't they right? Isn't that every movie ever? Isn't that the struggle? Is the main character's like, oh, this is the way it is, but I've got a different way. Yeah. Hello. That's leftist. Okay. There are good things that come from the right. As I said, we have to maintain, but we're also interested in progress. Everybody is. Everybody. So don't be afraid that this is from the left. Take the wisdom from the left. You don't have to use it for the left. Though I think I'm talking about freedom, and who doesn't want freedom? I also want to maintain. So I'm not going to take that away either. But to become a critical thinker is to say, I won't be limited. I won't be limited. And I wonder why people are freaking out about critical theory, because this is where it leads. We won't be limited. We will be empowered. Sorry, not sorry. So there you go. I hope you're empowered today and find some freedom in critical thinking, because you will. You will. Don't let anybody tell you they know the only way to life, because they don't. They don't. They don't know your way. That's for darn sure. So use your power. Engage in the process of conscientization. It was close. Enact your consciousness to be in the real world. Use your power, man. Use your power. That's what I'm talking about. Get out there. Have a nice free weekend. Open up those possibilities. Make your future wider and wider. That is what freedom's all about. So happy Friday. Hope you feel empowered today. And in fact, I have an ending closing line for this that I just remembered. Here we go. You use your empowerment out there today and have a colorfully critical day. Bye.